Good evening and welcome to the Ogden City Council meeting of May 9th, 2017. This is the 6 p.m. special City Council meeting. Please note all council members are present. However, Vice Chair Heyer and Council Member Nadolski have asked to be excused tonight, so they won't be here. Next on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I am going to ask Nate Vance to come up and lead us in the pledge. Right up to the microphone, if you will. What's that?
Ask everyone to stand.
Please stand.
Please stand. Ready?
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Nate. Well, stay up here, though, real quick. I want to ask you some questions. What are you here for tonight? Communications Merit Badge. Are you? And you have
TVs
other?
are you on?
Yeah.
What?
Do you have other members of your troop here?
Them.
Want to stand up real quick and?
We can have all the scouts
Yep, come on up
stand.
here, please.
And are all of
And I want to introduce yourself real quick. Tell us what badge you're working on as well. You got to get caught on camera here.
Hey,
Go ahead. What's your name?
So, I'm Jacob Malakowski. I'm also working on the Communications Merit Badge, but not with these five gentlemen. And that's all, I guess.
All right, thanks.
I am Ivan McDonald, and I'm here to get the working on the Communications Merit Badge also.
Great, thanks.
I'm Eric Lowe, and I am also getting the Communication Merit Badge.
Wonderful. Well, welcome tonight. Thanks for being here, you guys. You look good. Please, next on our agenda is a moment of silence. Please take a minute with me and in silence. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. This is the regular meeting of February 28th, 2017. Councilmember Lopez.
Yes, Chair White, I reviewed the minutes and I found them to be correct, and I move that we approve the minutes.
second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lopez, second by Councilmember Garner. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next on the agenda is reports from the Planning Commission. Mr. Montgomery.
Madam Chair, members of the council, we have two items for your consideration tonight. Both are items that have been petitioned and the Planning Commission has reviewed and make recommendations on. The first is regarding an amendment to the T.L. Smith Community Plan, and that is to allow C1 zoning along Harrison Boulevard. The specific request was the corner of 35th and Harrison, the area shown in red, and the community plan for that area had shown zoning options of R4 in that area and also possible PI. So when the Planning Commission first looked at the rezoning petition, the first thing in order to consider that petition is it has to be consistent with the community plan. So that's why the plan amendment was considered first regarding this request. The time frame that has taken place is that with the community plan, there have been some rezonings take place that haven't done plan amendments. The area, the square outline in red, was Zone C2 back in 2003. At that time, the council had made a determination that a plan amendment was not needed, in that what was being proposed seemed to be consistent with the general objectives of the community plan. However, with this specific item, the Planning Commission felt a plan amendment would be appropriate because the C1 zoning is a little bit different than R4 or PI, which is PI is professional institutional zone. There are other uses along this area which are non-conforming uses, even though the property area is zoned R4 or PI. Those areas with the stars are areas that had been offices that were allowed years ago when R4 allowed offices, but presently that is not a permitted use anymore. So you can see there's a consistency going on of office use, even though the zoning is not there for that because of the changes that have taken place in ordinances. So just an idea of what is PI, professional institute zoning, and why these uses are non-conforming. For example, the petition property tonight is an eye doctor, and again, it's not a permitted use in the zone, it's non-conforming. But in order to expand, you have to look at, are you going to additional properties? If so, you need to change the zoning of the properties. So that whole discussion of offices, they're non-conforming, there are a variety of offices along Harrison Boulevard, led to the decision that some changes needed to be made to the plan. One of the things that took place over years, and this is kind of an accumulation of things, when the professional institutional zone was first developed, which the plan had talked about, it had a half-acre minimum size for the PI zone. Over time, changes took place to the ordinances. And so today, we have an acre requirement. The T.O. Smith plan never accommodated these type of things going on. So as the Plan Commission discussed, the PI, which the plan had talked about, and then changes have taken place with the PI, they felt that a change needed to go to the commercial C1 zoning. The C1 zoning would allow developments less than an acre, which this project is. Other developments that have taken place along Harrison are less than an acre. And the C1 would still allow the professional and business offices, which the PI zone allows too. So the Commission felt there really was an equal use with PI or C1. And so as they discussed that, they felt both would be allowed, both should be considered as options. If property is big enough to be an acre or larger, PI might be appropriate, but if it's smaller, C1 may be the more appropriate zoning because of the development pattern that's happened along Harrison Boulevard. So in the recommendation of the Planning Commission, they voted 8-0 to recommend approval of the plan, doing two things. One, amending the text of the plan to talk about C1 as being another option for uses along Harrison Boulevard, and to revise that language. And then also, because of the update that's taken place, the PI zone has been developed. The plan talked about in the future developing it, so we'll remove that language from the plan at this point as a cleanup item. The second part of the recommendation to you then is to amend the community plan map in that area that's outlined in red to talk about the options of R4, C1, or PI, depending on those factors that I mentioned of lot size. And these are all dealing with properties that front along Harrison Boulevard. And so this is the first step that's needed in considering the next step, which is the petition. So as I mentioned, of these revisions.
When was the T.O. Smith community plan developed?
Oh, you asked me that. Let's see. If I
can't find it in any of the...
1994.
A lot's changed since
A
then.
lot of change since then.
One thing I like about your presentation, Greg, is that you explain what is being proposed, and then right at the end, you put what we're actually looking at, and I appreciate that immensely. It clears up a lot of questions that we may have. But the one question I have is, and it looks like one of the residents in that area, will this have any impact on the residential housing in that area at all?
It would not have any impact on single-family homes. The development along Harrison has mainly been apartments or offices. Now, the next part, the rezoning petition itself, will remove a single-family home, which is probably one of the few single-family homes left on that side of the street from 36th to 30th. In fact, I can't think of any single-family home on that west side other than this one.
But going further down into the neighborhoods, it
But
doesn't have any.
it stays a lot depth off of Harrison, so there are actually a lot on Harrison and a lot on Brinker. So those lots on Brinker would not be affected by that.
So the single-family home is the only, it's right across the street, like from the burger.
Right, right, it's just to the north.
Apartments behind it.
Uh-huh.
Right.
We accept public input.
So this is a time for public input, sorry, I was reading that wrong. Somebody'd like to come up and apologize for that, I was looking at public hearing.
Yes, my name's Larry Campion. I live at 3440 Brinker. There's a clinic, what was formerly a clinic at 3435 Harrison. It extends from Harrison to Brinker. My house is just south of that property on Brinker. And I just found out that what tranquility I might have had between burglaries was going to be disrupted by a daycare in that property. And I'm just wondering, I guess this property next to mine will be allowed to upgrade to PI or C1. Is that the possibility?
Sorry, I'm not sure of your questions. On Brinker?
Well, there's what was a clinic at 3435 Harrison, which had come under this PI C1 situation. I live at 3440 Brinker, which is just south of that clinic property. I understand that they're going to put a daycare in that property. So whatever tranquility I might have had, and I say between burglaries, I guess they're going to run the daycare from 6 to 6 days a week or something like that. And I'm assuming that what was once a clinic there can be upgraded to PI or C1. Is that right, Greg?
I'll ask that question.
And I don't know why. This would probably be the only property that would be allowed to go from Harrison to Brinker.
Okay, we'll ask that question. Any other input? Would you just address his question real quick? And I think it has to do with property that's a little further down.
Half a block, yeah.
So, it's not on the screen. It's not on there. There we go, okay. So I think there's two things going on. So the request that you're considering tonight is that area shown in red. And what Mr. Campion's talking about is a few lots to the north of this. That is still zoned R4. Daycares are allowed use in an R4 zone. And so, to the one question, there is no proposal to rezone other properties other than this corner piece, the corner 2 lots where the eye clinic is, and that house right on the corner of 35th and Harrison. But the R4 zone, which is further to the north, does permit daycare centers. So if there is a person applying for a business license, it is a permitted use in that zone. So a daycare could go next to his home, because the R4 goes from Harrison down to the west side of Brinker Avenue. So actually, yes, the present zoning would allow the daycare, which would be next to him. I'm not sure if there's I have to check on business licenses or site plans. I'm not aware of the approval of one, but we'll have to check that out. But the comment about will rezone properties, additional properties, that would depend on if people petition and then looking at the individual factors of that request. This plan amendment allows consideration for the Harrison frontages, and would have to just see if a petition comes forward to make some change of either R4, PI, or C1. But the specific item is this corner piece.
So would we call this residence back and report what's going to happen next to his home then? Would we do that?
Greg, if you could follow up with him just to help him understand that, maybe, that'd be great. Any other questions? Any other public input? All right.
Greg, was the petitioner here, or?
Not for this one.
Okay. The architect.
Not for this one, though. This is just,
Madam Chair, the petitioner is here.
I'll have him on the next one.
You can have him for both. It's a two-part petition.
But it's appropriate to hear from the petitioner, correct?
Dr. Dygert, you want to come up?
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to talk about.
How was your weekend?
Fantastic.
Excellent.
I think they
So
just
it's
want to know
public
what,
input
yeah,
and just
what your plans
you're
are for
planning on doing,
the property and
but
expansion.
Why the petition started in the first
Yeah.
place.
The plans for the property, the property to the south of our current business has long been pretty much a nightmare for us with just not being kept up and so forth. And so a few years back, I actually ended up just buying the property to try to control I mean, there are literally rats coming out of the property onto our property, and at the time I just bought it to kind of protect the quality of what was going on around us. And as time went on and we needed some space to expand our clinic, that's the purpose of that now, is to expand the clinic into that area and allow for our business to have maybe a little more space there, and also try, in the spirit of what we're trying to do in Ogden, try to provide what I think the community can benefit more from than what that house has provided.
So you have more parking there, is that right?
It would provide more parking there, yes.
And access off of 35th.
Yes, much safer access in the studies that have been done and the UDOT input and so forth.
So you'll take the house down then, huh?
The house,
Might be the next step on our,
Okay.
you're getting ahead of him. So, all right, great, thanks. We'll have you back in about 3 seconds.
all right.
All right, any other public input? Is it to change the community plan? All right. Now, we need a motion.
Seeing no other public input, I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2017-21.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Blair, second by Councilmember Garner, to adopt the proposed ordinance 2017-21. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Gardner?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye. That passes. All right, with that, next on the agenda is the proposed rezone of this property. So, had to fix one in order to look at the other.
Right. So this, as you mentioned, is the actual petition then to consider rezoning the two properties, 3475, 3495 Harrison Boulevard. Again, the location, as we discussed earlier. The plan is to, as mentioned, expand the clinic and to double the size of the building. And you can see the proposed site plan. It would have parking on the west side, which would have a driveway off of 35th Street. They would keep one of the driveways on Harrison Boulevard, but the other driveway, which is kind of a one-way in, one-way out, would be eliminated. So this would provide a better circulation pattern. And you can see the design of the building. The proposed expansion and addition would keep in character with the overall building, so it would all look as one proposed project and be tied together. As the Planning Commission looked at it with the present conditions, you can see the office and the house, and again, the office is a non-conforming use. In the R4 zone, offices are not permitted any longer. And so in order to expand, a non-conforming use can only be on its original lot. And so that's why the rezoning is needed. They need to rezone the property to the south if they want to expand to the south, so that both properties can have a zoning that allows the office use. Again, the Planning Commission reviewed this, and based on approval of the amendment to the T.O. Smith plan, they felt that this would be then consistent with that plan and recommended an 8-0 vote to rezone from R4 to C1, these two parcels.
There's an opportunity to receive public input, if you so choose. All right, does the architect of the petitioner want to come up, or are you fine?
My name is Tony Pantone. I'm an architect with Pantone Architects here in Ogden. I think Greg kind of explained the project roughly. It's approximately a 2,700 square foot addition to the existing clinic. It'll roughly double the size of Dr. Nygert's practice. As Greg explained, we've kind of designed it as a complementary addition to the existing structure, kind of clean up, enhance, I guess, the existing facade of the existing building, and then the new addition kind of expands to the south. There will also be a parking lot kind of remodel expansion as well as part of the project, cleaning up a lot of things, utilities, stormwater, and a few other issues that needed addressing. Should be a great project. I think it will definitely enhance the streetscape of Harrison Boulevard. That's really kind of a summary of the project. Any questions or?
Just, for the citizens or the residents who live on Brink or behind you, what type of buffer are you planning? Have you, just real brief. I don't need a lot of.
Currently, there's a fence across that kind of separates the two properties with vision slats. It's chain link with vision slats. The plan is to kind of continue that. There'll also be some landscaping addition to the back of the parking lot to mitigate lights from cars and so forth. There'll also be some new trees across the back of the property line that'll kind of create some separation and clean that up as well.
So the home would come down then?
Yes.
Yes.
I like your conceptual drawings, and I think it will be a nice feature on that corner. And really, I'm impressed with the safety you've put into it.
Yeah, it'll also, this project will also kind of clean up the drive approaches across Harrison Boulevard. We've already applied with UDOT and received approval, but currently there are 4 approaches, 2 to the Vision Center and 2 to the residents, and 3 of those will be removed with the approach furthest from the intersection remaining. So that'll help with traffic and kind of clean that up as well. The main circulation or entrance to the clinic will be moved from Harrison Boulevard to 35th Street, so it'll make that safer and cleaner as well. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Public input?
So with that, I'll make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2017-22 for the proposed rezone.
I second it.
Motion by Councilmember Garner, second by Councilmember Stevens. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gardner.
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes.
Chair White, it may be interesting to point out that years ago, Harrison had a lot of residential buildings there, and but nowadays it's more on the commercial side than residential. I'm sure Greg would confirm that type of analogy, but there's probably more development in that direction than residential direction.
Right. Next on the agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding any concerns or ideas on any topic. If you would like to, come up and state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's John Christensen. I'm with Ogden Chicken Lines. I live at 960 Taylor Avenue. What I'd like to share with everybody today is 7 false myths about urban chickens. Number 1, the myth 1, chickens carry diseases. And the fact is, the small flocks literally have no risk of avian flu transmission to humans. It's in the Gaines report states when it comes to bird flu, small-scale poultry is the solution, not the problem. And Center Disease Control on their website, there is no need at present to remove family flock chickens because concerns regarding avian flu. Next myth is chickens are noisy. Laying hens at their loudest have the same decimal levels as humans at 60 to 70 decimals. Hens are so quiet, they have been cases of family flocks being kept for years without next door neighbors being known about it. And myth number 4, chickens attract predators, pests, and rodents. Fact is, predators and rodents are already living in urban areas. Small bird feeders, pet food, gardens, fish ponds, bird baths, trash waiting to be collected, all attracts rodents, predators, raccoons. Matter of fact, it would be the chicken coop owners that will help eliminate the rodents and the predators. Myth number 5, property values will decrease. Fact is, there's not one single documented case that we know of about a next-door family flock that has decreased the value of real estate. On the contrary, local foods and living green is so fashionable that some realtors and home sellers are offering free chicken coops with every sale. Example is at greenwastenews.com. And then that's about it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Any other public comment? No? Seeing none. Comments from the mayor?
One thing, they say there are only 2 certainties in life, death and taxes, but I would also add that none of us would be here without a mother that made tremendous sacrifices to get us here. It's Mother's Day week. I would encourage us all to take time to thank all the mothers in our lives for everything that they've brought. So don't forget your moms.
Council members?
Amen what the mayor said.
Well, I need a...
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Blair, second by Councilmember Garner. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Not out of here because we have a redevelopment agency meeting. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Ogden City Council meeting of May 9th, 2017. This is the redevelopment agency meeting. Please note that all board members are present. However, both Vice Chair Heyer and Board Member Nadolski have been asked to be excused tonight. This is a fairly short meeting on this one. Public comments. Oh, this is going to be a very short meeting. All right. No public comments. Comments from the executive director.
Short meetings make long friends.
Any board members? No comments there. All right, moving on. We have a closed executive session.
Chair White, I'll make a motion that we move into the closed executive session for the...
Second.
As outlined.
We have a motion by Board Member Garner, second by Board Member Lopez, to move into the closed executive session. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Blair?
Aye.
Board Member Garner?
Aye.
Board Member Lopez?
Aye.
Board Member Stevens?
Aye.
Chair White?
That passes. We will go into our closed executive session and adjourn from there, so you probably won't see us.
Thank you all for being here tonight.